How long is all this going to last? Is it going to be forever? Is it going to be for years before there's a solution?
Of course, nobody will tell you, cannot tell you exact date. But my own impression that the Libyans, especially in the eastern side, they said enough is enough, and they are really fed up, and they will stand up, and they will liberate their cities.
But will you do a deal with them? Will you accept that they've got a cause and an argument, and you're prepared to do a deal with them?
Our final target, of course, is a national reconciliation. We forgive each other, and we lay down the arms, and we start building the new Libya. You know, I want you also to meet the prisoners, because the army, they captured 100 of them in the battles. Please go interview them. They said it was our biggest mistake to fight with them. They misled us. Now we are with you. We want to fight back.
But that's what prisoners always say.
Yeah, but listen, no. They were misled. And they told you a sad story. They told, go there, it's a jihad. You fight there, you go, and you will fight mercenaries. You will find people wearing a cross. You heard the story with the cross, because they're Christians, not Muslims. And then they found themselves fighting their brothers, Libyans.
But just to go back to this, there can be reconciliation?
Of course. We cannot go forward without a national reconciliation.
And how do you get that national reconciliation? How do you stop the fighting?
I said the Libyans will do it themselves. Believe me. Without the Libyan army, without my father, without the government, believe me, the Libyans will settle the issue there in the East. They will do it because the older people will not leave this to go forever.
But there has to be a ceasefire.
I said they are unorganized. Nobody can talk with them. And now they are fighting each other every day. Every day there is a big war in Benghazi, on Tobruk, and between the militia themselves.
But that sounds as though you're saying there can't be a ceasefire.
No, with them not. But the people will get into them. Like what happened in Algeria in the 90s, again, where the people and the villages and the towns, they armed themselves and they fought the terrorists in Algeria. The same thing will happen here. Because, come on, people said enough is enough. Now they are fighting the government before, and now they are fighting each other. So every day there is a war in Benghazi. There is a fight in Benghazi, fighting each other, killing each other. And the real victim, the Libyan people there. So the Libyans, believe me, they will liberate themselves. They will do it.
And your father will still be in power.
I said, the role of my father will be very symbolic. If you keep talking about, you should step down, you get nothing. Because he will not do it, because you challenge him, and the Libyans, and the people, they will not allow you. Because it's like a challenge, it's an order, you step down. You should talk about a new constitution, election, new president, new prime minister, and you, Mr. Gaddafi, okay? You have this like the Queen of England, like the Emperor of. So, but we need young people, new faces to run the country.
But he'll never be safe, will he? Because he'll always have that threat that he might be taken to the International Criminal Court.
Why criminal court? My father didn't kill anybody, didn't order the killing for anybody. He didn't say, go and kill innocent people. No.
There was a policeman killed in Northern Ireland yesterday with Semtex that Libya had provided to the IRA in the 1970s. It's still going on.
Okay. Now you are talking about something happened in Northern Ireland and something happened in the 70s. And now you want, listen, so it's better that you tell me, okay, we are against you. You, Mr. Gaddafi, we will kill you, so and so. Now, the story about Libya, and now a story what happened in the 70s, and now look at me. So it means we're going to kill you so or so. So the answer is, this is our country, we stay here, we live here, we die here, and we fight to the end. So we should, listen, if the people of the world, the Western world, wants to have an exit from this crisis, you should help the people in Libya to go forward, national reconciliation, a new constitution, local governance, you know, to help the foreign workers to come back, to start the reproduction of oil. Those are the demands of the Libyans. But the demand, no, go to the Libyans and say, what is your demand? To let Mr. Gaddafi leave the country, or you want a better future? Say, come on, better future. Nobody's talking about my father. It's just some politicians in London or Paris or Washington. But in fact, there is no civil war here in Libya. There is nothing called East and West, but like the army militia is fighting everybody. And the army militia consists of two groups: the ex-prisoners who escaped from the jail of Benghazi, criminals, and the terrorists who belong to Al-Qaeda and other Islamic groups. And you saw them. So there's nothing secret. It's everything on TV, and they are giving interviews, they are talking, they have weapons, and they are fighting. And they terrorize people, in city, especially in the city of Benghazi, in Derna, in Baida, in Tobruk. And everybody is afraid there. So there is no civil war. There is nothing that they are fighting the Libyan army. They are just armed militia. But the armed militia they are very weak, extremely weak, as you know. I mean, even the Gates, the American Defense Secretary said, they are not organized, weak, small number, very small number. But they have the West with them. They have a Tomahawk, they have Tornado, Rafale, F-18, they have air carriers. That's why they are strong. But otherwise, everybody is fighting them, and they are very weak, and the whole nation is so united against them.
Can I put another view? I spent 3 weeks in the eastern part of the country, illegally from your government's point of view. That isn't a picture of what I saw. Many of the people were former soldiers in the Libyan army who were fighting. There were young students who were desperate to get what they saw as their freedom from your father's rule. It didn't look like an uprising of Al-Qaeda or of prisoners to me. I have to say that.
This is, first of all, when I talk about Al-Qaeda, like in Derna, they set up their own state, the emirate. Mr. Al-Assadi, Suleiman Gammo, they are the emir and his deputy. They came from Guantanamo, they were in Guantanamo. So it's not secret. They were in Guantanamo, and they came to Libya, and then here we released them from prison, and now they are there. So I'm not talking about, like, I'm not making up my own story, but it's fact. Ex-prisoners, terrorists, with the photos. I mean, with their photos on TV. But in Benghazi, you talk to those people. But in Benghazi, you have more than 1 million people living there. What happened to them? You should talk with the ordinary people. They hanged people. They did execute people. The head of the International Red Cross, he came to Libya, and he went to their jails. He said he saw a very sad story there in Benghazi. They're putting hundreds and hundreds of people in small cells in Benghazi. You saw them hanging people on the bridges. You saw the picture of cutting the hands and the legs and the head of one guy in front of the people. So do you think the Libyan people are barbarians and they are wild and they are happy with this? Of course not.
Colonel Gaddafi's loyalists clearly can't defeat the rebels any more than the rebels can defeat your army.
No, it's not about this. It's not about our army. You know who's fighting there? Not the army anymore. The people, volunteers. The people, they get afraid because Libya was a very safe country. We were spending, we have projects worth more than $2 billion, building more than 500,000 housing units. Everything was okay. All of a sudden, terrorists, armed militia, destruction, destroying, killing. So now everybody is fighting for his own future.
But how do you stop that? Ceasefire?
But it's another funny story. Ceasefire with whom? We talked also with the Europeans, with the Americans. They said, even for them, it's very difficult. Who and who? Who is the leader? Who are they? Nobody knows anything.
what the leader on
they have no
the
leaders.
rebel side.
I mean, on BBC, when your correspondent there asked them, who's they? They said, we have no leader. So who are you? They said, we are all leaders. And they have now the other problem, because our people cannot go to the east and just make it safe for our people because of the bombing of the NATO. Now you have 2 or 3 militia in Benghazi. They are fighting each other every day. You heard the news, of course. It's in the news. Because they are removed this commander, they brought another commander, they are not happy with this commander. So they are fighting. You heard the news about the fighting last week in Benghazi. They are fighting each other every day. It's a very funny story. And what is funny and sad, that the civilized world is fighting for them. Fighting for whom? You should help the civilians. You help the Libyan people. Here we need peace, law, order. In Benghazi, no schools. Schools are not working. No hospitals, no salaries, no banks. Just armed people everywhere. You saw them.
But your father warned the people of Benghazi that he would have no mercy on them.
No.
But why would he say a thing like that if he were going to be friendly? And
No, not friendly.
No mercy?
No,
I mean,
no,
that's
no. When we said no mercy, listen, everybody was angry.
Because this is why the NATO countries and other countries have been bombing, because they were absolutely clear in their own minds that if the pro-Gaddafi army had captured Benghazi, there would have been bloodshed on a massive scale. But that is why they're bombing.
Can I tell you something? Even with a terrorist, I know this, even with a terrorist, the army was very patient and careful in fighting and attacking them. Very careful.
My feeling, having been here throughout the entire crisis, is that nobody can win this, that neither the rebels nor
not
your
rebels.
side can win it.
Please. Rebels, who are they? They are 100 people, 200, 300, 1,000. In Libya, we are more than 6 million people. So even for the West.
So why can't you just defeat them if there's so few of them?
Defeat. You know, you are imposing a no-fly zone in Libya.
Yeah, but you couldn't defeat them before.
No. Yeah, you are bombing You are bombing in the middle of the desert. This is. We should be frank. I'm not here to lie to each other. The NATO here is to destroy the Libyan army and destroy this country, not to defend or to support civilians. They are bombing every day. Ammunition sites, camps, everything, and all over the country. This is to support civilians, or to help civilians, or to no-fly zone. Come on. And they said this, madam, we want to destroy the Libyan army. Why? To help the rebels to advance. Excuse me? Nobody will accept this. And you think if you can bomb for the next 2 years, the Libyans, forget about Mr. Gaddafi, the Libyans will not allow those people to rule the country. They want elections, they want democracy, they want, which is the request or demand number one for the Libyans, strong local governments. They want states and municipalities. But you think if you are bombing every day to help those rebels to advance, everybody will say, yeah, welcome here to advance. Of course.
What about the defection of Libya's foreign minister, Moussa Koussa, and all sorts of other ministers who've been leaving the country quietly and going off to the security of the outside world?
Regarding Moussa Koussa, he was, treated in Cromwell Hospital in London. And he said, listen, now I'm on a travel ban list and I'm sick and I have to go every 3 months to Cromwell Hospital in London. If I can get permission, I want to go there. So
you knew he was going to London?
He said, I'm going to check with the British in Jerba, in the island of Jerba.
Check what? Check that he could go to Britain?
Yeah. And we allowed him to go to Jerba. He went to Jerba, by the way, first. First, he went to Jerba, to Tunisia. And he checked, and he went there. So there's nothing against that.
No, but surely,
he wants to resign. Nothing wrong. But others Others, they defect, of course. Come on, they're human beings. They are old and sick, most of them. And
so you don't have any objection to these ministers leaving?
why not? Of course, you can resign and go.
But Musa Kusa has said all sorts of things which you can't be at all happy with.
Like what?
He's talked about your father's dictatorship. He's talked about the need to overthrow it, as we understand it.
Where?
Well, he seems to be talking to the British in these terms.
We haven't heard anything about this, no. I mean, at least me personally.
But you must feel betrayed by what he's done.
No. They are sick people, old and sick people. And we have been bombed for 2 weeks. They are old people, they're not young like us. So if you are, imagine, you are in London and we are bombing you day and night for 2 weeks, and psychological pressure, and the media, the press, and you are sick and old. What can you do? So you resign, you say, I'm going. It's a war. Libya is at war. So it's a wartime.
But he knows so many secrets
like
about what goes on here and about what has gone on here. Well, Lockerbie, for instance, he knows all about that.
The British and the Americans, they know about Lockerbie. They know everything about Lockerbie. So there is no secret anymore to say what was Lockerbie. Come on.
But he's told them everything else that your father's government has done.
Like what?
Well, I imagine some pretty disturbing things.
I have no idea about this. No, we have no secrets. Tell them what. And also, plus, if you press him, you have to invent stories in order to give you immunity. So, what can I do?
So you think he's inventing stories?
The British government said this. You have no immunity unless you cooperate. He is sick. He is sick and old. So, if you put this way, no immunity, of course, I will come out with the funny stories. I imagine this.
Of course, a lot of people in the West think that his defection means that all sorts of people are leaving your father and that your father's government will collapse.
You will see. If you are sick and old, this is a different story. But not everybody is sick and old in this country. This country, 70% of the Libyan population is under 40, the age of 40. So it's a very young population.
You said famously here some weeks ago that the first option was to live and die in Libya. Second option was to live and die in Libya. Third option was to live and die in Libya. Do you think now that there is a possibility that you and your father and your brothers may be killed here by the time this crisis comes to an end?
Why? Killed? Maybe. With a cruise missile, with the but this is our country.
But not by somebody close to you who might kill you.
This will not happen. But this is our country. Those are our people. You know, my grandfather and grandfather fought for this country against the Italians, against the Turks, long time ago. There was no oil, no airplanes, no security council, but my family did fight for Libya 180 years ago. And we are doing the same thing. We are fighting for our country. We are here. We're not invading London or Paris or attacking New York. We are here with our people in our country. So we live here, we die here. This is our country. You want us to leave to go where? To Maldives? To the Caribbean?
To Zimbabwe?
Zimbabwe?
To Uganda?
Excuse me, no.
To Venezuela? Not going?
Of course not. Of course not. Listen, God with us, because this time we are fighting for the right cause.